Hello and welcome to Miles Ahead with me, Miles.
And me, Bradley. Before we dive into today's main topic, let's quickly catch up on what we've been watching recently.
So I finished Fallout Season 2.
Okay.
I thought it was overall it was a good season. I don't think it was it was a good season. I don't think it was as strong as the first, but obviously it's hinted at what might happen in Season 3 with the Enclave and whatever happens in Colorado. Spoilers if anyone hasn't seen it yet. But I guess I had to wait. I think they're filming Season 3 very soon. So hopefully we won't have long to wait till the next season comes. What about you, Brad? Have you been watching anything recently this week?
Well, this week was week 2 for The Apprentice. It's a much better week than week 1. It was an interesting exploration into how they think children mind work. So their task was to essentially come up with a kid's storybook and like a little audio book, go alongside it and then pitch it to all the retailers. So today we're going to look at the new film Is This Thing On, which is a film inspired by the story of the British Liverpudlian comedian John Bishop.
Well, yeah, I thought overall it was a good film. I think the story was quite compelling. The characters were quite well done. But yeah, as you briefly said, it's loosely inspired by the British comedian John Bishop, who, if you don't really know who he is a comedian, as Bradley said, from Liverpool. He was probably he was recently Dan Lewis from Doctor Who, if anyone watches that.
Or if you remember it.
Or if you remember, he was actually there. It's loosely based on how he's basically got his start in comedy. And so the film is about a couple that are separated. They're possibly going through a divorce. And our main character, Alex Novak, who is basically Will Arnett, or he's played by Will Arnett, who is basically the John Bishop inspired character, starts going to a comedy club and basically uses it as a therapeutic method, his own therapy.
Yeah.
Overall, what do you think about the performances, specifically the main two? So Will Arnett, as I said, mentioned earlier, and Laura Dern, who plays the wife.
I thought they were quite compelling characters. I think they they sort of understood the source material from what there was. It was based on John Bishop, basically his early life. I thought I thought they were compelling, and they clearly understood the source material that they were working with. Obviously, it was John Bishop's life, and I thought they were compelling. I thought they did quite well. It was unironically funny. Not quite what I was expecting, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think they both did well. Obviously, we mentioned it's loosely inspired by Bishop's sort of story on how he got into comedy. Obviously, they take a lot of differences in the story. Obviously, it's set in America. It's probably the biggest one. The names are different.
Yeah. I guess should we start by loosely talking about the story of John Bishop and then talk about some of the similarities that are brought into the film?
Yeah, we could do.
So basically the story of John Bishop and how he got into sort of stand-up comedy is he basically stumbles upon this sort of open mic sort of night in a bar in Manchester, and the story goes that he didn't want to pay the sort of the fee to sort of enter and look at the performances. So he put his name down to basically perform his stand-up, and then he basically, I mean, that's essentially what the story is, and he just went from there basically.
Yeah, I think it's very similar in that regard, as in the main bit about him not wanting to pay the tab just to have a drink or whatever. That bit is in the film. That's essentially how he starts in the open mic night. And I think, I mean, obviously, I don't know how close it is to his story, apart from the obvious differences that he's not American.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know how closely he worked in the development of the story or anything like that. I imagine he had some part to play, because he's credited as, I think, a producer or a writer. I can't quite remember. And yeah, I think in that thing, I think it follows the basis of his story and how he got to where he is now as being a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Going on tours, being on Doctor Who recently.
I liked how this sort of took the story and put it into like a modern setting.
Yeah.
They didn't try to sort of say, oh, this is 90s New York and this is the like a bar, a stand-up comedy. No, I mean, I'm not sure if it's specifically 2026, but it was modern time with modern car technology and whatever. So I like that they sort of took the story and sort of put it into the modern setting, rather than taking the story and literally doing it as it is, just in a different country.
Yeah, I think they did it quite well, changed it a bit like that. Because obviously, if I did a biopic about it, I don't think it would have done well. Because if you remember the Robbie Williams one, the one where he's a monkey.
Yeah.
I think it did well in the UK, but I remember it didn't do particularly well in the States, mainly because he's very well known in the UK, but not so much outside of the UK.
Yeah.
So it didn't do as well. And I think if they did that, it'd be the same issue, because John Bishop's definitely known.
Yeah, he's known
in the UK. I mean, outside the UK, probably not as much.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind he's as well known, but I reckon he is known.
I mean, some people might recognise if they saw Doctor Who, like, oh, he was on Doctor Who once, but that's about it. I was quite surprised he wasn't actually there as like a cameo, like a stand-up comic. Or at least I didn't see it. It's very possible he was there. They just hid him very well. But
yeah,
I was quite surprised that he didn't have a cameo of some sort. I mean, they had the Liverpool FC jersey in one of the scenes to obviously say this is based on John Bishop, who is a Liverpool FC fan in real life. So there was that little nod, but that was about it as far as I could tell.
I think if they drew too much on John Bishop, it probably wouldn't have done as well as we're saying, because it's not a biopic. It's just basically based on his life. So yeah, I think if they drew too much from John Bishop, then yeah, I think maybe it would have sort of ruined the story a little bit. I think
maybe. Yeah, and I think it's quite interesting because obviously the film's directed by Bradley Cooper as well. So I don't know where he heard the story from. I remember hearing this. I was quite surprised about it because it's like Bradley Cooper, big Hollywood star, is directing some, fairly well-known stand-ups in the UK. That was about it. But yeah, to be fair, it was well directed. He also has a small part in the film as a aspiring actor. think his name's Balls.
Yeah, it's obviously a nickname.
I don't know if that's his first name or his surname, but that's just his name.
So, I mean, apparently, fun fact. So apparently, the scenes where Will Arnett, who played Alex Novak, is giving his stand-up performance in the bar, and there's the shots where it's really close to his face. So apparently, that is Bradley Cooper behind the camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. Yeah, I guess because those shots quite work as well. I know we haven't really talked about that, but because a lot of the shots are quite close ups of the characters' faces, and I think it quite works. It's quite I guess, quite an intimate story because it's based on a couple. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting, especially as it's just Bradley Cooper.
But yeah, I mean, I like the different shots because obviously they had, your wide shots and specifically when Will Arnett was doing the stand-up comedy stuff, it was a close-up to his face, which I thought was quite a unique way of sort of showing that this is, although yes, this is to an audience, it's quite intimate in a way because I mean, the story goes that John Bishop was quite bad at the very beginning and was basically just telling stories about him and his wife potentially breaking up. And obviously it's just him telling the story and it's like unironically funny. So yeah, I like the influences. I think if you just said to someone, this is based off of John Bishop, I don't think anyone would necessarily know it would be.
I think obviously, a highlight, I guess, of both the story and I guess the acting is more, I think, the key relationship between Will Arnett and Laura Dern, because obviously it's quite well, I guess, how can I say, it's quite well portrayed because obviously they've got 2 kids. Whether that was true at the time, I'm not sure. They made that up, but obviously they're still quite, they're still, whether they get broken up, they're still in their lives, and it's like very complicated. Whether they very complicated. I think, because as I said, separated. Alex is in his own apartment, and it's just they're still there, but they're not quite together. So it's going to be a bit awkward.
Yeah, I mean, so before we jump deeper into our highlights of the film and talking more about it, do you want a fun fact about John Bishop?
Yeah, why not?
So, did you know that he was a pharmaceutical salesman before becoming a comedian?
Okay. I wouldn't have pictured that at all, to be fair. And obviously that was a bit different to the film, because I believe in the film Alex has a job in finance.
Yeah.
Which I guess is fairly similar, but not really. Okay, right. I guess let's continue talking about the highlights of the film, or I guess what you felt could have been portrayed a bit better. As I said I felt the relationship was quite well done. I think very complicated.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not complicated, but to them it's quite complicated. I guess to a lot of people going through divorce like that are. So
yeah, I think Will Arnett and Laura Dern had quite good chemistry on the screen. I think they were good casting, and I think it worked quite well. I think. But yeah, I'm not sure how much of that relationship is completely based off of John Bishop and his wife or ex-wife. Not sure what their status is at the minute. But yeah, I agree. the relationship was probably one of the highlights, and Laura Dern and Will Arnett was definitely.
I think, I guess, maybe not a low light necessarily, but what I felt could be, I felt it dragged on near the end for a little bit, as in, I just felt there was bits where it could have ended on a nicer note. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't end on a nice note, it did, but there was bits that I felt, there's certain bits that I felt it could have ended there or tried to end it there, and it kept going. This isn't like the whole, this is probably like maybe the last 20, 30 minutes of the movie. It just, I don't know, I felt it maybe could have cut a few scenes out.
Yeah. I mean, their relationship, again, not sure how true this is to the actual, to actually John Bishop, but their relationship sort of, they split and then they're together, and then they sort of split again, and then they're together, and it's quite.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that's quite complicated, because obviously there's that point in the film, not to spoil it too much, where obviously the wife finds out what has happened with Alex, which is apparently partly true to John Bishop as well, where his wife somehow finds him on one of the open mic nights.
Yeah. I mean, I thought that was good, and I thought the way that they did that was quite
and
good.
I get what you're saying, is like they were sort of not really together, but they were sort of seeing each other a bit more after that. But obviously they weren't really back together because they're doing it in like, so trying to hide it from the kids and their friends. And yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like, it's a bit, I guess that's what a relationship is at the end of the day. It's very complicated, or it can be. So it's sort of, I think in that way, it presents it quite well. And although, it looks like they're together at the very end, you don't know what happened. And for all you know, it's probably they tried something else out. Who knows?
I guess the low light for me was sort of all. I mean, we had the main story with Will Arnett and Laura Dern, and obviously that relationship, obviously John Bishop and his wife, and obviously they had friends, and they obviously meet with them regularly socially, and they go to this sort of house or something as like a coupled retreat type thing, and obviously they're hiding the relationship. But I think what bugs me is sort of, you have this nice main story, and then you have these other characters, these other two couples, and one of them, from what I can just understand, was just there for the sake of being there, and the other one was trying to follow. I mean, there's obviously it trying to follow the same story, but do it in a slightly different way, and I felt like that didn't really work.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, they weren't really in the film that much to really, in my opinion, hinder it.
No. It was just a notable low light for me. It didn't really make a ton of sense why they were there.
I think you probably could have got rid of them, and the film would have been just as fine without them. But I think, I don't think they're that bad, in my opinion. I think, I get what you're saying. There might be one couple that was probably not why they weren't really there as a plot point. They was sort of, just I guess, make it a bit more convincing as a friend group kind of thing, which is fair. But I wouldn't really say that they were a hindrance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it was just a part of the movie that I didn't really understand why that specifically needed to happen. I mean, it could have just as well been Bradley Cooper and someone else, and that would be fine. In my opinion, it didn't have to be two other couples.
Okay.
Or they could have done more with sort of the stories of the other stand-up comics that Alec Novak sort of become friendly with, and sort of explore that story a bit more. Because obviously, they're somewhat of an essential part of the story, and Bradley could have been one of the other comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the two other couples to me didn't make much sense.
Okay, that's fair. I can see what you're saying. They could have developed some more of the stand-up comics a bit more. But yeah, overall, I don't really have a problem with them.
No,
I can definitely see what you're saying. They could have cut some of those out and reserved them for more of the stand-up comics who aren't, apart from maybe one, they aren't really that developed that well. Whereas, well, not developed well, but it's like they're not really there. I guess they're there for what the plot needs and they're fine, but I could definitely see them. They could have been developed a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, again, if that was part of the John Bishop story that you wanted to tell, then fair enough. But if it wasn't, then yeah, for me, I just think you had characters there who were stand up people, comics, and friendly with Alec Novak. So I felt like they could have been explored a bit more than just adding other characters, because we just need to add other characters. So let's take a quick break. But before we do that, do you want another fun fact about Will Arnett, Miles? So did you know that Will Arnett attended French-speaking schools in Toronto?
Okay.
And Toronto's Canada, isn't it? French.
You can speak fluent French. Okay. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Well, who knows? We might see a French film with Will Arnett being French. I won't have to dub him.
So, Mark, what are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's it's a solid story. So it's a solid film. It's not like the best film I've ever seen. I think visually it's quite well done. I think, as you mentioned about Bradley Cooper being going right into Arnett, I think shots like that are quite well done. I think it works for the story it's trying to portray. And I think it's a good film overall. I think I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think it is a good film. I mean, put it this way, it's not going to win any awards. I mean, it might. I mean, there's some cinematography work was quite good. I think
it won't. It probably won't win anything this year for the Oscars. But next year it could. Probably not. It could.
Yeah, I mean, it could at least get nominated. I could see it getting nominated for cinematography.
Yeah, maybe. But I'll have to see next year for the nominations.
I mean, I was saying that I think the cinematography is good. I think the direction from Bradley Cooper is pretty well done. There are just some sort of hiccups, I think, with the story and sort of the characters, and maybe if as I said, if it's part of John Bishop's story, then fair enough. If it's not, then I think you could have explored the other comics a bit more. That's my only down with the film. Overall, I think it's a good film, and it's a good story that is told well.
Yeah, I agree. I think my only gripe with it is probably, as I mentioned before, the length. I felt there could have been a couple of scenes that could have been cut or trimmed down a bit. But overall, it's a decent enough film. I mean, if it comes on streaming or something, I'll probably watch it again. Yeah. It's a good enough film.
So before you wrap up, do you want another fun fact about Bradley Cooper?
Yeah, might as well.
So he also speaks French fluently. He even did an interview promoting The Hangover Part 2 in 2011 entirely in French.
Ooh. I have to try and find it on YouTube now. Yeah, that
Maybe,
could be
maybe
a
you can do a
film.
French film.
That
A
could
French
be
film
a
with Will
film series
Arnett.
we could talk about. One, yeah, I think Will Arnett is in that as well. I was going to say that's a film series we could talk about one day. The Hangover trilogy. I think it's a trilogy.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we've got time for today.
Thank you so much for listening to Miles Ahead. We really appreciate you spending your time with us.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at milesahead.pod to stay updated on all